So, as part of my journey to learning how to draw, we are talking about the art fundamentals. And I think about 3 weeks ago, we started with perspective. And that went pretty well. I learned a lot. I'm still continuing to learn. And a part of that journey is construction and form. And to be honest, once again, didn't know a whole lot about it. It was definitely a new topic for me, and I'm kind of excited to jump into it. So let's get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Sam Bell, and welcome back to my artist diaries. And before I kind of get started, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the support I've gotten on my last two videos. Like, I think that first video about perspective and like the intro to this whole artist diaries has like 1,000 views already. I'm like, that's insane. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, 1,000 people watched this, and I'm just so happy that it connected with so many people, because that's just how I was feeling when I was like trying to learn how to draw again. It was frustrating in a way, just seeing people learning how to draw, but they know how to draw already. And I was just really happy that me kind of on this mission like resonated with so many people. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support, and it definitely has given me kind of the motivation to keep going and to kind of work harder with all this. So with that being said, let's jump into part 2 of art fundamentals of construction and form. So to kind of debrief what construction and form is, it's really like playing with Legos. Does that make sense? You are basically taking apart, seeing how different objects or shapes can create a bigger overall shape. And kind of briefing on like last week's video of backgrounds, is a big part of it is organic and inorganic shapes. And what I mean by that is, if we take a look at a table, for instance, it's usually made up of a thin, long rectangle or cube, and then usually the legs that it stands on are probably cylinders or more cubes. That's basically what it is. You're kind of looking at an overall bigger picture, and you're breaking it down into smaller bite-sized pieces so we can draw it more accurately. And to jump straight into it, honestly, let's talk about organic and inorganic shapes. So if you watched my last video about backgrounds, I talked a bit about organic and inorganic shapes, so I'm not going to go too crazy on it. But I do kind of want to stress them because they're basically the essence of construction and form. So organic shapes are things that you find in nature, like leaves, clouds, flowers. Those are all examples of organic shapes. They don't have rules, if that makes sense. Like at inorganic shapes like cube or pentagon, they have rules and classifications to be deemed a certain thing. So inorganic shapes like a square, cube, a rectangle, a triangle, those all have to have specific qualifications to be deemed that object, so they are inorganic. You usually always have to have like straight lines and perfect angles to be deemed an inorganic shape, or the thing it's trying to be. And honestly, when I was kind of working on my organic and inorganic shapes, I didn't do a whole lot for construction and form specifically, because I feel like I was doing that a lot with the backgrounds video, so I didn't go too crazy in it. But don't worry, it's all in the worksheet that will be put up for this video as well. And really, when I was practicing organic and inorganic shape, at first I wasn't like seeing the point, if that makes sense. At first I was just drawing like inorganic shapes as like blobs. Like I wasn't seeing the bigger picture. I was kind of just drawing blobs, and honestly it was a great and kind of like a fun exercise to get warmed up and everything. When I was practicing my organic shapes, I really was just drawing blobs at first, and I wasn't really understanding why I was drawing them. I think I was just drawing them to draw them, because I think that's what I thought construction and form was. Like, honestly, when I first started out, I was like, okay, construction form is just drawing blobs or shapes, which is not what it is at all. It's about deconstructing and reconstructing certain things to get a bigger overall picture and to get a more accurate sketch or drawing. So I think that was kind of my first mistake when I was starting out with construction form. I kind of wasted a lot of time just drawing blobs because I thought that's what it was. I'm like, okay, this whole video is going to be about blobs, and not even close. So I'm very happy I did more research on that, and I got a better picture of what construction form even is. This is Cashmere or Cash. Are you gonna come sit? And then kind of moving on to inorganic shapes. Once again, didn't do a whole lot specifically, because I feel like I got a really good grasp on them with like perspective and backgrounds again. I'm gonna be so distracted this whole video now. But kind of going back to the perspective video, what I think helped me a lot with construction and form was doing kind of cubes in a room again, and just brushing up on how my cubes kind of worked, because I feel like my cubes didn't get worse, but I haven't been practicing them as much as I'd like to. So that was kind of like a nice like refresh to practice like my cubes in a room, and just drawing boxes, really like drawing them a lot, which is great. That's kind of it for organic and inorganic shapes. I didn't do a whole lot lot this time around. Like I said, I kind of wasted a lot of time drawing blobs, and that's not really what this is all about. But if you want a little bit more of like a debrief or a bit more in depth, I would definitely recommend my last video of drawing backgrounds. Hi everybody. So I actually ended up filming this yesterday and my mic is just not working anymore, which is great. I filmed this yesterday and my mic just stopped working for no reason, so my audio is going to be kind of shit right now and I apologize. But let's move on to deforming basic bodies. So deforming basic bodies is really just taking the base of a cylinder or a cube or a rectangle and adding a twist into it to make it a bit more of an interesting shape. I was just drawing shapes as like just the basic rectangles and cubes to make sure I could draw them. Got a little bit like too lazy with it or got a little too relaxed, so I'm definitely going to be trying to keep drawing my cubes, like even before I draw anything else, just draw my cubes and everything like that, because they are really the building blocks of it. I think especially as we're talking about construction and form. Deforming basic shapes is basically just taking a cube or a cylinder and adding a twist onto it. So it's really not a hard thing to do necessarily, but it's a bit of practice when I was adding in the twist to my shapes and things like that. It was a little tricky at first to try to make sure that everything's kind of like proportional and like the perspective in a way like still makes sense. I think that was kind of the main thing that was kind of getting to me. And then another person I really liked was Mark Burnett. It wasn't like a long video about deforming or kind of rearranging shapes, but he did talk about a lot about adding in a twist or, you know, making the shape a bit more interesting in a way. And at first I was like kind of confused. I'm like, I don't know why. I wasn't sure why we needed to like practice the warping and things like that. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be a tool that I'll be using a lot, but it does kind of like, I don't know, it just makes you think and helps you like drawing from imagination more again. It's kind of a big goal of mine to be able to draw from imagination or to draw and just like draw from my brain and not always need a reference photo. Like, don't get me wrong, reference photos are great and they're a great tool and they shouldn't be so highly criticized like if you're an artist, because they're a great thing to practice with. Deforming the basic shapes, I really had a shape that I wanted to work with of a cube or a cylinder and kind of added a twist into it, or like I would fold it in half or I would try and loop it around a bit. I was trying to make the shapes a bit more interesting, which was kind of the main point of it. I was just drawing the shapes and just seeing how they were interacting with each other, and if I could make something a bit more cool, if that makes sense. I had a lot of fun like drawing cylinders with it. I think that was the main part that I enjoyed the most, was cylinders. So deforming basic shapes wasn't too bad. It was kind of fun. It was just, I think it was one of those warm-up exercises. Yeah, deforming basic shapes was pretty fun. And now we're going to move on to carving volumes. Alright, moving on to carving volumes. At first, when I was practicing carving volumes, I like didn't see the point. I think when I thought of like carving volumes, I was thinking of like rocks, which is kind of a fun way to look at it. Like if you're carving out marble, like if you see a statue, like you're carving things out. And I don't know why, but like that wasn't like making sense in my brain, or like it wasn't like, I didn't think it was aiding me in any way when I first started doing it. But I've come to terms with it and I've quickly realized that it is a really important tool. Once again, with construction and form, the whole point of it is to have the base of a block or a cylinder and to make something of it. So we can do that by like stacking them on top of each other, or carving out the volume, or deforming it in some way, the final object you're trying to do. I don't know why, but sculpting just wasn't making sense. I was just thinking of it as like just trying to draw rocks, and like I think I got pretty good at it and it's something that I want to practice more. But at first I was just like, this makes no sense. It was like kind of the last one that I did and I was just like, I didn't get the point of it. But then one second I was doing J Ram Draw's worksheet and I started to see the point, because in his worksheet you were just kind of drawing rocks, and it was also helping me by cutting the object in half. I remember for one, it was like a flat rectangle and like you cut it in half and then you kind of shaved off the corners to make them look a bit more chipped and chiseled and everything like that. And then I kind of saw the point of like, wow, this is a great tool to draw different things. And we did a little bit in perspective of, I was kind of carving out a cube from a cube to kind of show how you can make puzzle pieces and using bands. But yeah, carving out the shape is a great tool, because if we're drawing my desk, for example, like I can draw 2 rectangles for my drawers, a thin one for the desktop, and I can put a bunch of different like cylinders and cubes just to get the perspective right and just to get the placement right of them. And then once I'm happy with those basic building blocks, I can then go into it and start carving out the shapes that I want to see, or start making the forms look like the object I'm trying trying to show. I think it's a great tool when you're showing environment or you're showing a lot of like inorganic shapes per se. It's a great way to get that perspective right, just nail it without worrying about the details. And I think I said yesterday that I worry like so much about the details. I think why construction and form was so hard for me is that I want to draw the final thing on the first try, and that's kind of a habit I'm trying to get out of. I think I get really impatient with myself and how long it takes me to draw, that construction and form has like forced me to slow down a lot and to take a step back, and like sculpting's a part of that too, of down my Legos and then I'm gonna go in and add the details later. And it's kind of like I'm like rewiring my brain. Like I have to train myself to be like, okay, no, we're going to draw the base first and then we're gonna draw all the fun details, because I love drawing the details and I love rendering out my art and everything, but I need to slow it down and I need to work on my sculpting. Yes, I would definitely recommend working on sculpting. Draw some rocks, draw some fun little things, try drawing a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. Moving on to volume rotation. This was hard and I got very frustrated. I really struggled with this one. Basically, the idea of it is to take an object, so you're gonna hold it and like place it at different angles and then draw it at those angles. And when I first started this, I once again had that problem of drawing the final sketch first, but I chose a candle to do because I thought that'd be pretty simple. Like it's basically a cylinder with a little sculpted or carved out groove. There's a bug in here. I thought that'd be easy. It's basically just a big cylinder. I can draw that in rotation. Surprise, I couldn't do it. I was like getting so frustrated at myself, and you'll see the video and everything of me doing it, but it was just not looking good. Like I felt like, sir, that's my coffee. Very frustrated at myself that I just couldn't do it. I was drawing all the details like straight away and it would look bad. Like, I don't want to say like art is bad, but it wasn't looking good and I was getting really frustrated and I just did not like how it turned out or anything like that. But like I took a break. It was like frustrating me so much that I worked on other things, that even tried to do like, so I draw the illustrations for my worksheets. I was trying to draw it again, or like try a milk carton or try something else. I don't know why. Like I'll have the object with me and I'm holding it and I'm putting it different rotations. It's just not working for me like at all. And like I haven't mastered this one. Like I have not gotten to the point where I'd like to be at with it, but I'm not gonna stop doing it. I think that's the main thing of I'm gonna keep practicing it and I'm going to adapt and try different things. Like I think I gotta start like from square one with it. I think kind of jumping into a candle, which doesn't seem that hard, was not the right move. I was like, oh, I should be able to draw this. Like this is an easy thing to draw, but I couldn't. It was just not working for me by like any means. If you're feeling that same way, like at any point of these worksheets or these videos, if you're following along with me, like the whole point of all of this and all of this series is that a lot of us are like starting from square one again. I know I am. I've been drawing for about, gosh, 4 or 5 years now, and I'm back to the basics. Like I'm at square one with all of this. So there's so many other people that are in the same boat as you, and even after I film this, I'm gonna go practice my volume rotation again because it is such a great tool to have. Alright, moving on to final thought. That's basically construction and form. It's such an important part of learning how to draw, and I think this step is a pretty important one for me. I think, as I was saying earlier, I tend to jump straight into my sketches and expect the final piece to look perfect and proportional and just beautiful when that isn't really the case. I think that I've struggled with this a lot, and I was saying that earlier, but I think construction and form is kind of forcing me to slow down a bit. Even though I was just talking about volume rotation, as I was getting frustrated with it, I think it's important that we all just kind of slow down a little bit and practice drawing our cubes in inorganic shapes and our organic shapes again. Yeah, and I think it's just taught me to slow down, just to draw my basic shapes a bit more and to get comfortable with those and then kind of move on from it from there. That's it. I would definitely recommend doing the worksheets. Please check out J-Round Draws. He's just a great tool to use. Doesn't sound like how I want to. He's a lot of great resources that are very important and are very useful for construction and form. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize again for the audio, and I also want to say thank you again for all the support I've been seeing. Like, I still can't believe it. Like, it just feels so good to have this sense of community and that we're all in the same boat in a way. But thank you so much for watching. Bye guys. You were the star of the show, do you know that?